Hey, so today I am in the corner of my living room. This is what I call like my inspo corner because I just have pictures of movies and stuff I like. But I wanted to come in and do my predictions for the Man Booker long list 2020. The long list is announced on the 28th, I think, of August. Yeah, the 28th. So it's going to be announced soon. And I've got a list of 13 books that I think will be on the long list. I think they decide between 12 and 13 to go on the long list, but I think they will be 13. And I think this year they will probably do like more black authors than ever with everything that happened in March. I just feel like they're going to do a lot of black authors this year because they should. Most of the books that I've decided on are debuts because I just like to give attention to new authors if I can. But I feel like maybe only about 30% of the books I choose will maybe be on the long list. I don't know. I don't have much faith in my long list, but I think this would be my long list if I was choosing the Man Booker. So first up, I've chosen The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I've not read this yet, and out of the ones I've long listed, I've only read 2 of them. But I am aware of them all, but I've only read 2 of them because I only have 2 of them. This is meant to be like a dual narrative. It's either a dual narrative or it's a narrative about twins, but it's meant to be about race. So I think that one might make the long list. And then another book that I think will make the long list is Theft by Luke Brown, which is this. And this is a novel about Brexit and basically like a white northern guy in his like 30s, and his mum dies and leaves him a house. And then he's trying to sell the house with his sister. So he's kind of on the outskirts of the literary world. He writes for like this crappy magazine called White Jesus, I think it's called, White Jesus. But I like this. And I think it's meant to be a nod to Finding Nemo, the seagull. Because his mum's house is by the sea, and it's basically meant to be like homeowners steal the land, being like mine, 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 mine. I think this would be a good book to have on the long list. And this is his second novel. Third up, I have The 392 by Ashley Hickson Lovance. It's meant to be set all in one day and all in one bus journey. I think it's meant to be like a 36-minute bus journey, but it's a novel charting a bus journey in London, I believe. And that's meant to be about race as well, I think. So I'm excited for that, and I want to read that as well. Next up, I have The Liar's Dictionary by Eley Williams. So that's meant to be a historical novel about lexicography. So I think it's set in the last day of the 19th century, possibly. So one person is compiling a dictionary, and then it's mixed with a dual narrative of like modern day, and it's meant to be like the modern day intersecting with the historical day. And it's meant to be about a dictionary, so I'm excited about that one. Another one is Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. That's meant to be about sex and gender, and that's meant to be like really contemporary, like about Instagram and Snapchat and stuff like that. So that might make the long list, I think. Another one is The Fuck It List by John Niven, I think you pronounce it. He's a Scottish writer. And this is meant to be a satire / thriller about America. And it's meant to be, basically, this guy gets diagnosed with terminal cancer. And then he's like, I'm going to just fuck things up while I'm still alive. So I think does he want to assassinate the president or something? But it's meant to be crazy. But I think that would be a good one to have on the long list. Next, I have Actress by Enright. This probably doesn't come as much as a surprise, but I've read The Green Road, which was shortlisted for the Man Booker before, and I've read The Gathering, which won the Man Booker, because Milkman won the Man Booker the other year, and that was by an Irish author. I don't think Actress will be on the Man Booker because she's already been indulged by the Man Booker so much. I didn't like The Gathering, did a video on that recently, but I did really like The Green Road, so I don't expect Actress to be on the long list, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was on the long list. And next up is another Irish author, which is Rob Doyle, and this is his book Threshold. So this is one of the ones that I have read. It has a really trippy psychedelic cover, which I like. And this is set contemporaneously as well. So this follows Rob Doyle, the character. So it's meant to be like autofiction. So the author is kind of the narrator, but obviously it's fiction. So the Rob Doyle is probably slightly different than the Rob Doyle in real life. It follows Rob Doyle, and he's this guy in his 30s, and he used to be really heavily into doing drugs. And now he kind of does drugs sometimes. It's him like travelling around the world, so he writes about all the drugs he's done and people he's met and the drugs they do together. And people have described it as being navel-gazing, so it's very self-reflective, kind of. But I think if you like druggy fiction, you'll like Threshold. I'm not into drugs personally, but I don't mind druggy fiction. But that was a good read, so that should be on the long list, I think. And that's his second or third novel. So yeah, I think Threshold by Rob Doyle should be on the long list. Next up, I have Dragman by Stephen Appleby. He's a cartoonist. The Man Book has only had one graphic novel on the list, and I think when it got on the list the other year, it made quite a big deal of it because normally it's just more traditional novels. In KD Books' recently video, Kieran thought it's probably time a graphic novel got on the list again. So I think if a graphic novel is going to get on the list, it will probably be Dragman by Stephen Appleby. It's meant to be like his cartoon strips are, but it's meant to be about transvesticism. So I don't think it's about transgenderism. It's about a guy who like knows he's a guy, wants to be a guy, but he enjoys dressing up in women's clothes. So it's meant to be quite funny, but I think that would be interesting if that got on the list. I think it's meant to be more about performative gender than transvestites. Okay, and next up, this probably isn't much of a surprise, but Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendez. And it's got a really beautiful cover. And it's meant to be like a black queer guy in, I think one of them he's like 19 and then he's a sex worker. And then it mixes it with a 50s narrative to do with race. So I don't know if I want to read this one because Sean the Book Maniac did a review of it and he didn't seem to think it was that well written. And it's meant to be about music. So I think I will read this one if it makes the long list. Because I'm like, if it makes the long list, you know, it must be decently written. But this has been quite hyped. I can see this making the long list. I don't think it will make the short list if it makes the Man Booker Prize list, but I think it will be longlisted, possibly. So that's Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendez. Okay, and I think that's 10, so I've got 3 left. Next I have In the Palace of Flowers by Victoria Princewill. It's meant to be based on the only existing first-person account of an Abyssinian slave in Iran. So it's set like in the royal courts of Persia, and it's meant to be a narrative about that. So it's to do with African history and slavery, but it's set in the Persian court. And the penultimate novel on my long list is The Private Joys of Nnenna Maloney, and this is by Okechukwu Nzelu. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I think he was born in Manchester, but it's meant to be writing into the Igbo Nigerian tradition. Yeah, I recently read An Orchestra of Minorities, and that was writing into the Igbo tradition as well. So I'm really interested in that cosmology, so I hope this one makes the list. And it's meant to be a coming-of-age novel as well, but it's written by a man, but it's about a woman's search for identity. So yeah, I think that would be interesting if that got on the long list. My last one is, it's either LOTE, or LOTE by Shola von Reinhold, and it's meant to be about the erasure of black figures from history. So that one, is that set in the UK? I'm not sure. I don't know that much more about it, but I feel like that might be on the list because that sounds like an important book that should be on the list. What else? I think based on my list, I probably haven't chosen enough American authors because I imagine there'd probably be quite a lot from them, and other ones that, a lot of mine are British UK books, but I don't think a lot of my list is that likely. So yeah, I think maybe 3 out of 13 of them will be on the long list that I've selected. Oh, wait. Last contender update. So I've forgotten about The Mirror and the Light. So I'm just going to predict 14 books. So I think obviously The Mirror and the Light will probably make it on the long list. I'd be really, really surprised if The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel didn't make the long list. I recently read Wolf Hall and adored it. I haven't read Bring Up the Bodies yet, but I really want to read The Mirror and the Light. It's meant to be really good. I think they will put it on the long list, even though they know it doesn't need to be there. They know that it's already hyped and that Hilary Mantel is already like a proven literary goddess. And I think they will put The Mirror and the Light on because they know the Man Booker will just get so much attention if they have that on the list. To have it on it the third time, that everyone will then be watching the list being like, oh my gosh, is she going to win it a third time? Because they know that would make loads and loads of press as well. So can't believe I almost forgot that. What books do you think will be on the long list? Are there any books you think I've missed out on? Yeah, let me know in the comments. I might come in and do an update on the long list when it's announced, but I don't see myself reading all the books this year. I might read like 1 or 2 of the books on the shortlist, but I think I will do a video when they like announce the long list, announce the shortlist, and maybe announce the winner. And what do you think of the Man Booker Prize in general? Do you think they do award the prize and they select the books that are normally not the best in the language that are published this year? Or do you think the Man Booker Prize is really overhyped and is given more attention than it needs? And that the literary novels that they select are really biased and that they're not actually really good literary novels, that they have other reasons that they pick these books? Personally, I have mixed feelings on the Man Booker Prize, but generally I think it's a really good prize. But I think there's so many prizes out there now. Like there's the Pulitzer, there's the Geoffrey Faber Memorial Prize, there's the Dylan Thomas Prize. Like especially in the UK, there's loads of prizes. So I think if you don't like the Man Booker that much, there's loads of other prizes to follow that follow literary fiction. But the Man Booker Prize is like the most famous one. So, well, there's the Nobel Prize, but the Man Booker is like the most famous UK one. I like the Man Booker Prize. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.